you know I'm never gonna let you be the one to go away. Can it be? I wanna see that I know was misery. Can it be? What do I see? Set me free. Set me free. Hurry up. We're going now. Oh, I didn't have to bomb it out with you. Starry eyed killer. You take it from a clown. Oh, why did I have to fall for it so easily?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Problem Solver Politics live stream. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And today, gosh, we're talking all things vaccines. Big anti-vaxxer channel here.
Well.
No, just kidding. And I am super happy with Andrew Yang this week. So happy I decided to bust out the old math hat, because I feel like OG Yang is back, and I want to support that. So, Cody, tell us what's going on, brother.
All right, cool. Well, what's going on? My headphones, I had to turn my headphones up. Oh, here we go. There we go. Sorry about that. Anyways, what's going on? So today we had some pretty big news coming out along the vaccine front, so to speak. So I thought it'd be interesting. We'll go through a little bit of some of the news. I mean, I'm not really going to do a huge, massive 5-hour deep dive on all the data here, but here's the news and just what it could mean moving forward is interesting. So, Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine is more than 90% effective in first analysis, company reports. One interesting thing I will bring up, I don't know if you remember this, Carden.
Okay.
We did a video or a stream about vaccines not too long ago, just about not about vaccines, but just about what a vaccine would look like for coronavirus coming up.
Yeah.
And one thing that came up was Fauci said he would take 75% effective, which to me feels like, really?
Dude, I do remember that where he said,
it wouldn't be good, but I would do with 70%. We're talking about maybe 65%, which isn't optimal.
and it was like, now we're sporting 90. Like, I don't care what the disease is. That's good.
Yeah, well, these first reports come out, so this might actually be the vaccine. So we'll go through a little bit here, but just the interesting angle, I think the reason why I thought it'd be fun to talk about tonight is the fact that, one, we have an election that's still, it's barely in limbo, but it is still in limbo. And the other would be what would the vaccine rollout look like?
Yeah.
Depending on how long this limbo is drug out in the White House, or will it not at all? Will this kind of happen in the background and, hey, look, the White House changes hands and whatever, it should go as thing. Anyway, go through the article first a little bit. So our frontrunner coronavirus vaccine developed by drug giant Pfizer and German biotechnology firm BioNTech. Here's the one thing I'll say up the front. I don't care what happens. I'm never going to be like, oh, thank you, Pfizer and BioNTech. I'm glad they used some of that money on this.
I can't think of a more hated big pharma company. Like this, the name Pfizer should be triggering all the progressives that remember 2014. You know what I'm saying? Because that was one of the most hated companies out there. But now it's the public-private partnership that everybody's bragging about.
Yeah, but anyway, hold on, just to get to the news real quickly. So,
yeah,
they announced that it was more than 90% effective at protecting people compared with a placebo saline shot, according to an interim analysis by an independent data monitoring committee that met Sunday. So the analysis of the ongoing trial provides a decisive initial glimpse of the real-world performance of one of the 4 coronavirus vaccines in the last stages of testing in the United States. The strongest signal yet that the unprecedented quest to develop a vaccine that can help bring the pandemic to an end might succeed, breaking every scientific speed record. What also is interesting, I'll pull up an article on that. I heard today, Brazil, I believe.
Yes.
Sorry. Brazil, I believe, canceled their trials or ended their trials early with the Chinese vaccine.
What?
I don't know if it's just news that the Pfizer vaccine works, so maybe people are going to back behind it, but we'll take a deeper look at that. Anyway, they go on to mention that I would say it's a historical moment. This has never happened before. First of all, the world has faced such a terrible situation, the pandemic, yada, yada. That's from Catherine Jansen, the head of vaccine research and development at Pfizer. So the PR person.
Now,
PR,
Phil H. did ask an interesting question that I would like to know because systems interest me and the way people do things interested me. Phil H. asked, how do they actually know it's 90% though, unless they directly infected people to test? I thought we said it was unethical not to administer, but they probably just have a control group of some sort. I don't know what the exact FDA specifics are, but I know that in emergency situations, you can go over the pre-test and the animal testing and go straight to, that's actually one of the things that Donald Trump did that really helped out America was the right to test emergency drugs and the right to test act or whatever that thing that he passed was. That's part of the reason why we had such a record-breaking speed in the actual development of this. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of proud of America right now because America had a problem, big fat pandemic. And what do? We developed a solid public-private partnership, developed a vaccine. And if what they're saying is true, and it has been third-party affirmed that this is a 90% effective vaccine, I mean, good on us in a way that we haven't been good on since World War II, when all the factories came together to start making, 1911 Colt 45s at the Singer factory and stuff like that, So yeah, good on us on that one.
So, and then to get to a little bit more of the kind of newsy news of the science angle of it, there was a press conference this morning from Dr. Fauci. He had a couple interesting tidbits I want to share with you guys, just interesting things, a little bit more in the weeds stuff of it. He mentions that. Let me get down to it here. So Fauci said the result validates the mRNA platform, which could indicate that a separate mRNA vaccine developed by Moderna could have also have positive results. He added that this validates greatly the virus spike protein as the immunoresponse target, which is important because it's also the target for virtually every one of our other vaccines. He kind of sums it up here. It's not only immediate good news, it really is optimistic about what's going to roll out in the next several months with the other vaccines. Essentially, from what I've heard and what I've seen and what they describe here is if this vaccine works, the other vaccines that are in development are essentially trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So it could bode very well. One, for distribution, I hope. I mean,
And for Pfizer,
see, but then
their
well,
stock
actually,
is like,
worse for Pfizer if everyone has this, right?
Oh, yeah,
What if
sure.
Moderna is like ours is just cheaper? And it's the same thing. But here's the thing too. We'll get into now you're getting into the weeds as far as here's the thing. I think in America, I'm pretty sure I don't know if it actually is legally bound. I've seen conflicting reports, but I think the government more or less is going to have to just administer a vaccine on a wide scale for free to everyone. I think because if you say, well, if you can't afford a vaccine, you don't get it. Having people just get sick with
dude,
coronavirus
I saw
needlessly
Contagion.
makes
That's the way it is. You just better hope that the janitor's
no,
not
but
listening.
it's not even that. It's just, Card, if you have a vaccine, but people have to pay for the vaccine, I get how if you look at a movie where you just want to see the main character live longer, it makes sense why they might think that way. But in reality, having a bunch of people die from a disease we could just give them vaccines for is just bad for the economy. I'm just saying, it's not these people
Because I don't view them as humans. I view them as consumers and potential voters.
But it's not even a matter. I'm just saying, don't even think about the morals of these people. It's just that it makes less sense. Unless it's some really rare chemical compound or something. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to have coronavirus be ravaging large portions of the country for literally just kind of well, if you can't afford it, you can't get it. That just doesn't make any sense, dude. They just it's stupid for the country. It's good to go in debt to make sure your population isn't needlessly dying of a disease. It's worth going in debt because you get that money. Anyway, don't want to go too far into it. It seems that for getting it distributed to more people, if it's true, could be good. Now, I don't want to get too much into the news of this stuff because I have to be honest. Even this, I'm reading you guys this from Business Insider and Washington Post and straight from Fauci, straight from I have another one I pulled up from Stat News. Some pretty, good science stuff. Bottom line is, who knows? But I just want to show you guys that the experts, because again, the experts, I don't trust these people, but the experts are saying not only could this one work, if this works, it could mean everything else we're working on could also work.
Yeah. So now this is my only fear. I'm sick and tired of a medical tyranny. And I fully embrace modern medicine. My daughter was saved by drugs that did not exist less than a decade ago, and she took experimental drugs for her cancer. So I want there to be a robust profit incentive for these companies to figure out cures to these ailments, especially for the most vulnerable among us. All right. So I'm stoked that we're developing a vaccine. At the same time, I don't like how our society has veered toward medical tyranny and how we've found a way to take away people's freedom of religion by restricting their freedom to worship during a pandemic. We never before had freedom of assembly infringed. There was never an asterisk in front of it, but now there's an asterisk.
Well,
and apparently
is
we
that
all
true? I don't believe that at all.
except for legitimate
bombings
bombings in World War
50
II.
million times certain we have
What?
shut down gatherings in this country almost as practice for 200 years. I'm almost certain that's true.
Name another example where religions have not been allowed to
I'm
assemble.
not talking about religion. I'm talking about just the freedom to gather. We shut that down. Religion, you're right. That's sorry. I misunderstood. I think you meant just protests and stuff like that. I'm like, no, dude, we've been shutting that stuff down forever.
No. So
they could shut that stuff down. But yeah, sorry, a religious assembly.
So we've added an asterisk now that should not be there. Just like Barry Bonds, you know what I'm saying, has forever the asterisk next to his world record. Did he with or without steroids, so on and so forth.
Well, I don't think Barry Bonds ever.
It's an imperfect example, but it's just an example.
Yeah, no, but I think it is weird because it's I don't know if he ever actually was proven as done. Like, I think it's just like we know he did them, but it was never proven. But like,
Yeah.
sorry.
So, anyway, at the end of the day, I don't like how our society has veered toward this idea that if there's a medical excuse to infringe on our rights, we'll infringe on our rights. I don't like that. So I foresee, and a lot of other people foresee this, and I don't like this because all of the slippery slope arguments that were made by all of the rednecks in the 1980s about everything, you know what I'm saying, have all come true in 2020. Okay. So now they're saying, I don't like the idea that I may not be allowed to go to school, go to church, go to get a driver's license, go do anything unless there is a coronavirus vaccine. And I don't have a lot of respect for everybody that's just flipping now that supposedly Joe Biden is the president-elect. Oh, now we're celebrating the vaccine when like Whoopi Goldberg, Katie Hill, and everybody in the squad said they wouldn't even touch the thing, look at it, or take it because it was made during the Trump administration. I think we kind of have to set up backstops now so we don't fall down the slippery slope of now saying we're a society that unless you're vaccinated for X thing, you can't participate in our society. You know, or else we just lose claim to our idea that the majority rules and the minority has rights. And I see a lot of chatter on social media about that. And though I really don't have a problem with the vaccine made by Pfizer, I'm not as confident with things that haven't been tested for a decade. Like, we know exactly how the bell curve of penicillin works. We know exactly how the bell curve of a Z-Pack works because these are antibiotics that have 50 and 20-year trial periods and 2 decades plus of data behind them. With a vaccine that's made recently, most of this data is testing data. You know, we don't have experience data, though it's looking good and you can glean a lot from projections, just like they do with pesticides and their performance. You can divine or you can guess how long a pesticide will last based off projection data in a similar way that you can test and project how long a vaccine would last. So I like what I'm seeing, and I'm actually not opposed to taking it. With all the data I've seen from the COVID-19 vaccine, if I were like part of a crew and on a job where like they said, you know, we want you to take this, I haven't seen anything so overwhelmingly bad that I wouldn't be like, okay. You know what I'm saying?
But see, that's the funny thing. You say all that. You go through all that stuff.
But that's a
Hold on.
voluntary reaction
Well,
from me.
I understand, but dude, that's...
I don't want a forcible reaction imposed by my government.
I understand that, but like, trust me, the government would much rather trick you into it than force you into it.
No, that is
anyways.
true, Cody.
It's a lot easier
and this is
cheaper
why your
to just
cynicism
trick people
belongs in
into it.
Congress.
No, I don't want to trick people into doing things. I don't want. Anyway, super chat from Adam Duffy, $5. Thank you, Adam. He says, I heard Biden's campaign threw a surprise party for Joe when he won. It wasn't actually a surprise. He just forgot it was happening. I need a rim. What is it?
I love that.
The rim roll? Whatever they call that.
That was actually a really good dad joke mixed with a political joke. Like, that was a hybrid joke, and I have respect for that,
You
Adam
want
Duffy.
to know what's even funnier?
Yeah.
Technically, this is just night 6 of the election. Like, they haven't certified a lot of the votes.
Oh, gosh, you're right.
It's not even a consensus among the media that it's been called. Some media outlets haven't called it yet. Like, this is going to get drug out forever. Anyway,
Yeah.
a brief reprieve from that. Adam Duffy says also this PSP stream is brought to you by Pepsi.
I don't know what he's talking about. What's his beef? What's his deal?
The focus changed too.
Yeah, I was drinking a Pepsi. I don't think our audience has a chance to see yet, Cody, the Pepsi machine I restored.
No, we'll have to do a little thing on that. We'll do.
We'll have to do
I want to bring one.
little aside. Yeah.
I mean, I guess a better way of phrasing it is, would you like to hear some numbers someone pulled out of their ass about the vaccine? So, according to the Stat News, which I looked into, it's a pretty, this is stuff they cover. They say that initial supplies of the vaccine, if authorized, will be limited. Pfizer says up to 50 million could be available globally by the end of the year, with 1.3 billion available in 2021.
Yeah.
I don't know what in 2021 means. By the end of? Just overall at some point. I don't know. Is that just like, ballparking to keep it safe?
Yeah.
February, March, December. I don't know. Just in 2021. But just to bring up your point about the, having to take the vaccine to do stuff. It looks like, judging by these numbers, however, just if I were to just look at them like linear, the middle point of next year it's gonna start creeping up on. Okay, like everyone should have a vaccine in America. I mean, I have to imagine America's America's the center of the universe. So 1.3 billion vaccines. I have to imagine a third of those go to not even a third. 1.3 billion. That's like what? Like one? How? I'm bad at math, but 300 million have to go to America out of 1.3 billion. That's not that crazy, man.
Yeah, but also I got to tell you right now, I think once the hysteria of coronavirus is over, then we're going to be in a much better spot, especially if not emotionally, because we don't vaccinate for everything right now. When's the last time you got your flu shot, Cody?
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
I kind of live like on the fringes, you know. So
well, no, but you'd be surprised. Most people don't. Like my grandpa stopped getting it. He was a teacher, and it used to kind of be one of those union recommendations, and they'd pay for it, and they'd really heavily pressure you to do it, so much so that it was almost a requirement. And so he kept doing it. But every time he got the vaccination, he got sick for a week. And so he finally said, if I ever get the flu, I'm sick for a week. But most years I don't get the flu. So why would I guarantee to get myself sick once every year? And so he actually stopped taking the flu vaccine, lived a very happy and healthy life. All right. And so I really don't feel comfortable with where the chatter's going about mandating this vaccine. There's a super chat from Sly Cactus said, what would be your vaccine pecking order? Republicans first. No, I'm just kidding. The pecking order, actually, if it came down to the need for a pecking order, I would prefer a lottery system because I don't think there should be a pecking order.
Should we do one like Contagion? Birthday? Like basically it's like we're just gonna like every day we'll distribute them to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But only on like a birthday. Or no, they had like bands. It was like if your birthday falls in this band, everybody for like the A band gets theirs first. And then I honestly, if you want to talk about fairness, right? Just pull them birthday. The only problem with it is naturally people are going to have more.
Like for example, I would actually I take that back. I would have a list of essentials.
That's what
but
I mean.
I would not put Congress on it.
Well,
like as a thing of just like when Marco Rubio introduced that bill saying we can't raise our pay unless we have a balanced budget act. I'm kind of like that.
Is he independently wealthy?
No, Marco Rubio.
Only because I'm sure there's a bunch of Congress people that are like, yeah, that chump change that I get from not my capital gains, but
That's fair.
I'm sure there's a bunch of them that are like, yeah, that makes me look good to this.
But like, yeah, I wouldn't want it to be just like, Congress is important people. I would literally say like, no, okay, so mayors of cities. Get it?
Wait, what about like truck drivers though, and like people who work in factories,
like sanitation workers get it. The dudes that are keeping the streets clean.
See, that's why it has to be random, right?
It gets so big and so sticky.
Because at a certain point, it's like
centrally planning it would have to be random.
Does the garbage truck driver and the UPS driver at a certain point it's like, well, do we not have like? Does the UPS, like the postal service guy get it, but the guy who works for like those like third party stringers that Amazon has throw packages at your garage at like 4 a.m. You know, like those like just vans on track we have out here in Los Angeles. There's like vans someone drives around and like throws Amazon boxes at you. Like, do they get it? Because mail carriers deserve to be on Mount Rushmore, so like they get it, I'm assuming, right? But like, what about everyone else? It's just like I feel like you have to do it random because like these discussions just go forever, right?
Yeah.
It's just like
it gets that's what I'm saying.
Like, how about this? Like, should we just have like, is it easier to distribute vaccines or replace some low level stuff with AI at that point?
I don't feel comfortable with the idea of literally not vaccinating people until they die, creating a market share large enough for robots controlled by AI. That's not exactly the transition to Terminator 2 Judgment Day that I was looking for. But yeah, it gets so hard making these lists of who's essential and who's not essential. And psychologically, that was so destructive during coronavirus when we tried to centrally plan that I actually don't feel comfortable with that. I would rather go straight lottery.
What about this?
Just straight lottery based on birthday. And sorry to those people born February 29th.
Well, just add them to... I doubt that many people are born March 1st. That was that many. Or January, February, March. For some reason, I thought April came anyway. Exposed myself for no reason. But I have a question though, right? Because it gets deeper. Like, what
Hit me.
about, for example, would it be all up to the federal government, or would there be some state level distribution? Because I think distribution, because some states would probably deem some industry more essential than other states.
Yeah, I have a
For
feeling.
example, commercial air into Montana and out probably is not as essential as commercial air into Hawaii and out.
Yeah, if it were an emergency situation and it needed to be done the fastest, and the federal government could distribute it the fastest, I would say do that. But I doubt that, and I'm such a states' rights guy that I would be tempted to say, based upon population, we give out all these vaccines almost like an electoral college style, and say, okay, Gavin Newsom, here's California's vaccines, man. Don't F it up. And then Noam, the hot brunette chick that's in charge of South Dakota, here's like all 20 of yours. You know what I'm saying? You, don't screw it up. Vaccinate your people. I think governors can do a better job and know their states better than the federal government does. So you would want to do it as a states' rights issue. Once again, unless it was such an emergency that maybe like the only way to get it out was literally by putting it in C-130s and flying them to military bases or something. You know, it would have to be like the emergency of all emergencies for me to say that should be the federal government's job and not the state's government's
How
job.
about this? So Sly Cactus, a little bit of irony, says, how about first priority should be the anti-vaxxers? This is the only time I recommend brute force involved. But no, seriously, I mean, this is something that I was thinking about as well before. Before we have what look to maybe be the results for president. It's crazy how long it's getting drug out. But a bunch of people were freaking out. I guess we'll just squat. Real Clear Politics. This is a total aside, right? But just as far as the election, because I'm talking about the transition and stuff. Anyway, Real Clear Politics recently swapped Pennsylvania from lean blue to neutral to gray, which has led to an entire false reporting cycle that Real Clear Politics has reversed their call of Pennsylvania for Joe Biden, because Real Clear Politics never called it for Joe Biden. It was just lightly shaded blue on the map. And people are like, well, it was lightly shaded blue on the map. Clearly, that must be what they were saying. So anyway, that's all a stupid news cycle. My only point is that this will continue forever. Anyways, though, before we were in this limbo zone in the election where it looked like Biden was leading, before we were there was a lot of people who were talking about, I think 3 states, basically the entire West Coast, came together and said that if Trump is still president when the vaccine comes out, they were going to independently review the vaccine to make sure that it was like okay. And if it wasn't, they wouldn't take it, right?
Yeah.
I was wondering though, what would happen if, let's say Biden wins and Florida is like, we don't trust the Biden vaccine, right? For whatever reason. What happens if a couple states refuse to take the vaccine? Would the federal government...
you mean refuse to
vaccinate
force their
residents.
Their residents to take it.
Yes.
That's different.
But my point is, would that not lead to some federal restrictions on interstate travel from those areas? Like,
because
business as usual?
The reason why I say no is because then you would have to demand that Cassius Clay be called Cassius Clay and he go fight in Vietnam.
What?
Because Cassius Clay, a.k.a. Muhammad Ali.
I'm not talking about the past.
No,
about the
listen,
president.
But
don't care about the past. Don't care. Did you know 300 Spartans defended against the entire Persian army?
Well, if you say you don't care about the past, you can literally throw out the entire Constitution.
Sure.
And our Constitution literally protects conscientious objectors. Cassius Clay was a conscientious objector of the Vietnam War. So he had his spiritual rebirth, became Muhammad Ali, big civil rights guy, greatest athlete of all time. We didn't force him to go to war.
That's not my question at all. You're just having a soliloquy about
No, I'm not having
Muhammad
a soliloquy.
Ali. No,
I'm saying
my
that
question
if somebody's
is
a conscientious objector to vaccines...
I'm not talking about an individual. I'm saying if the federal government says in order to do certain things, this vaccine must be mandated for certain things.
I don't like it.
But
No,
what
that's
if...
medical tyranny.
But not even like, it's just like, not even but let's say the federal government...
If you can say some things, you can say anything.
Okay, McCard, my only point is, what if there is issues, let's say some states say that is medical tyranny. What do you think the federal... Well, I'm just hypothetical, but what would the federal government do if they wanted everyone to take vaccines and certain states refused to mandate it? What would they do then? It's a hypothetical, but it's just something.
Look, if it's a tyrant that wants to get rid of freedom and he has the ability to do it, then fine, that's on him. It's a tyrant getting rid of freedom.
I'm gonna word this completely different.
Okay, word it.
In some hypothetical universe,
Okay.
there's a landmass, and this
Okay.
landmass is ruled by one body. However, that landmass also has separate smaller governments within it. And
Okay.
the overall government of the landmass wanted everyone to be vaccinated. They wanted it. Now, smaller governments within this landmass resisted. Would this overarching government then would they have to limit interstate travel or intergovernment travel?
If this overarching
Like,
government that
would
was
that become
evil,
something? I see. You know what? We can't even go hypothetical on this. You are so brain damaged by the political, culture war. Can't even go hypothetical.
I'm talking
on
about
this.
hypothetical government. I think it is whether it's a hypothetical government or an existing one. I think it's wrong for a government to force somebody to inject something into their body.
But I'm not talking. But I just mean like that isn't the. That's what I mean. We just literally. You know what? The culture war's won in this one. We'll have to just live to fight another day. I can't.
But that's not a cultural war. That's just a morality question.
I can't get my question through to you.
Yes, you can.
not
And
a
I get
morality
what you're
question.
saying.
Okay.
You're saying in this landmass, if there was a government that was large that needed to get everybody vaccinated, but there were small governments within it that were rebelling, what would it do? Well, yeah. According to most human history, that large government would force the smaller governments to do it through force.
But I'm saying like you. But okay. But I don't believe that at all. I don't think the federal government would like send troops into California. Like let's use the previous example.
They take away their Title IX funding, is what you're saying.
Okay, I'm not even
Yes.
saying anything. I'm just literally trying to talk about a hypothetical where there's a butting of heads between states and the federal government, which happens a lot, man. That's all I'm trying to do. But like I said,
They
the culture war
could
is like all that
enforce
matters.
things. Like, for example, they could say, well, there goes your HUD funding, Los Angeles. And now all of a sudden you don't have the $50 million for your homelessness that you depend on. And they could say, oh, hey, well, Utah doesn't want to vaccinate. Well, Mitt Romney's a pushover, so he'd do anything for the federal government. But let's just say he grew a spine and all of a sudden, decided to stand up for something or somebody besides his political opponents. They would say, oh, well, then where's your money for the University of Utah? You know what I'm saying? Like that's how the federal government controls now, is through restricting access to necessary funds that people get drunk on. And that's also why they hate religious institutions and religious colleges that are private that don't depend upon that Title IX money or depend upon that federal grant money, because they don't ultimately have that control over them. So yes, you're right. The federal government could come in and say, oh, you don't want to take the vaccine? Well, fine. According to the Interstate Commerce Clause, if you engage in interstate commerce, then you cannot be unvaccinated. And pretty much like 90% of all business counts as interstate commerce. It's called a rubber clause in the Constitution for a reason. And the Commerce Clause is invoked by the FBI all the time. You know what I'm saying? In order to gain jurisdiction in something that traditionally would be considered a local affair, they use the Commerce Clause in the Constitution all the time. And we as a people have to just trust that the FBI is using and wielding that power benevolently. If you study rubber clauses in the Constitution, it is actually one of the most interesting arguments you can make about modern government in the United States of America, and shows how traditionally our government has actually been generally benevolent, because we have been a generally benevolent people who have wielded the power of rubber clauses in a generally, not specifically, generally good way. You're looking up something interesting. What is it? By the way, are you done thinking that I'm some sycophant?
Well, dude, it was just
Or what?
I was just trying to say, like, I wonder what would happen when they limit travel, and you're just like, and it was just like, I don't know. It was just like the simple thing of, what if the feds wanted states to distribute a vaccine and some states refused? What would happen? And you're like, well, they're tyrants. It's like, I get it, but just like, what would hypothetically happen? Eventually, we got there. Yeah, I think funding would be crazy, right? And yeah, interstate travel, a lot of stuff is actually interstate you don't think about.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy. That's why I just wanted to get to this. Something interesting up. I'll have to pull the little article. I don't want to. I guess this is okay. Here we go. We'll go through this. So
what's this article about? Hit it.
apparently, according to someone in chat brought it up, I feel bad. Anyway, Kenneth Booker had a super chat I want to get to first. He said that Nina Turner was on Yang's show today. It was a great listen. I have not had a chance to listen to it yet, but I actually am interested. I think it'd be interesting to see
Hello, somebody.
Well, I'm always interested with this because Nina Turner obviously is, not a company man for the Democrats. Andrew Yang kind of is sometimes. So I'm interested to see what they say when they're together. But anyway, this is what I want to talk about. Let's talk about. Someone in chat brought this up. I apologize. The idea that I guess Montana didn't want to implement a speed limit for a long time.
Oh, it was awesome.
Just
I remember those
said,
days.
Fine, you don't get the roads, not the roads. But here's a brief article. So, oh my God, where's the actual news in it? So it looks
I think in the late 90s, it was still not.
Hey, in 2015, Montana increased its speed limit to 80 miles an hour on the interstate for both day and night. Oh, the interstate. Okay, we have interstates out here that.
Yeah. But here it is.
I
Yeah,
love this.
1995.
Some guy went all the way to the Supreme Court for a speeding ticket. That is hilarious.
Wow.
So yeah, we'll pull this up on the side. Sorry, I just don't want. I guess we'll read it verbatim. So Rudy Stanko, a man of many court battles, had only one that matters to driving enthusiasts, and his win is our loss. Stanko is the man who challenged Montana's reasonable and prudent speed law, which stood between 1955 and 1974, and again between 95 and 99. They wanted to bring it back. It was Stanko's case that gave the Montana legislator reason to impose a highway speed limit. Oh, okay. I think I see where this is going.
He was saying that since it wasn't clearly defined.
He's one of those guys. He was
What a
obviously
jerk.
speeding, got pulled over, and was like, well, I don't see a number up there. Anyway, so in March 1996, Stanko was ticketed for traveling 85 miles an hour on Montana State Highway 200. He contested his charge in justice and district courts and was convicted by a jury twice. This went to the Supreme Court, really? His second appeal landed the case in the Montana Supreme Court in December 1998. That court, in a 4-3 ruling, reversed the district court's judgment. It called the reasonable and prudent clause vague on the grounds that it impermissibly delegates basic policy matters to policemen, judges, and juries for resolution on an ad hoc and subjective basis. Isn't that like a lot of laws, though? Isn't that kind of how the laws work? Most of them? I mean, I don't know. That's a weird ruling to me.
Okay.
Right? Because, for example, isn't there a driving infraction we have in California for driving erratically? I mean, is there really is that not at some level the matter of the police, judge, and whatever? Anyway, so neither the citing officer nor the attorney general at the time were able to specify speed. This is more what happened. We had some, no offense, but we had what sounds like some Montana politicians out there.
Yeah.
So neither the citing officer nor the AG at the time were able to specify a speed that would have been safe at the location where Stanko was stopped.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. They couldn't just give him a number.
So here's my question.
75. It couldn't just be 10 miles an hour slower than he was going. 75. That sounds good to me.
So here's my question. Sly Cactus actually made a really interesting
Which
comment.
they landed on, by the way. A few years after this, they landed on 75 miles an hour, which he still would have been speeding.
Yeah. So Sly Cactus said, Cardin, you're talking, and this is back when we were having our argument about this mythical world and how to impose your, I'm going to hold your gun, your medical tyranny, shall we say. And he said, Cardin, you're talking to an authoritarian monarchist. Constitution won't work on him. See, I'm obviously a constitutionalist. And then, do you feel that authoritarian monarchist correctly, because as a person, you are a radical perspectivist.
I would say,
and as a politician, you're would authoritarian monarchist? Would that work?
I'm closer to I'm a populist monarchist.
Okay, because you said you think the best form of
there
government.
should be one person at the top who's terrified as hell because everybody knows they're at the top. It's not just some weird group of like a lobbyist. The money isn't moving through 40 hands. No, all the money goes up to the king or the queen, and we know who they are, and they're scared as hell of us because we know who they are. People in charge right now don't care about us, dude. We don't even know their names. They could walk up to us, punch us in the face, and we wouldn't even know who they are. No, I'd rather we know that anyway.
So anyway,
I think it's a way of forcing your monarch to not to be lazy. It's a way of forcing the ruling class to move.
Well, you had said specifically that I believe in a monarchist as long as there is a constitutional right for us to violently depose the king.
Not even constitutional. Just
no, you can have a constitutional monarchy.
No, we can't. And there's many, and I'm fine with them. I think constitutional monarchies kind of actually make sense because basically. I'm oversimplifying things, but some idea or some the idea of a monarch having some kind of contract with their citizenry, where obviously the monarch can break the contract whenever they want. However, when they do, they're breaking the contract. It isn't just, well, I guess the king probably shouldn't do that. It's, no, we literally decided they're not allowed to do this to us. Because when there isn't these defined lines, it's easy for them to just kind of creep things in on you, and it's like, well, I guess they are the king, or they are the royalty. But when there's wait, no, we have a constitution here. It's interesting. It's a good idea. Anyway, we can keep. I would love to talk forever about how I feel like
bro, but here's some things that we got to bring back though. Can I throw in now that we're talking about having straight up monarchs, right? I think there needs to be warrior priests.
Well,
we literally need to bring back a warrior class of monks. Like straight up, imagine if our Navy SEALs were all trained Catholic priests or Mormon bishops.
That's terrible now.
Or dude, yeah, we bring back the warrior priest. You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you what.
That would be sick.
I may smile, but I am not taking the piss out of the idea 100% the way you are. No, I'm talking about just.
No, I'm not either.
Okay, but
you wouldn't feel comfortable having straight up warrior priests like the Knights Templar back?
I think it's stupid.
Why is that stupid? You're the freaking authoritarian monarchist.
I'm not even authoritarian.
And
literally,
warrior priest is stupid?
All I'm talking about is literally basically taking what we call our president
and
then having them take more responsibility and actually a little bit more control so we can actually blame them for things and not just have all the blame be dispersed forever. It bothers me that I would like the people that rule over us to actually have to be in front of us and have to have a name and a face that we know. I don't like the fact that right now they can kind of hide in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
The king can't hide. The queen can't hide. They live in the big castle in the middle of the city. We surround them. They can't hide. Or maybe in the hills. But you see my point. That's metaphorically speaking, right? But that's the idea is if you take the power and you concentrate it a little bit, however, the way you curb that power, you can talk about the media, but the media is just part of it. They'll be sycophantic to the king or the president. It doesn't matter who it is. They just want to be up to the power because the media kind of can't work without it. If the power,
and then we could have underground newspapers back.
But beyond that,
they're circulated.
Beyond that, I think the most destructive thing for how our country and some of these countries are ran is when you're able to absolve responsibility. And I get they might not be making the decisions, but if you put everybody who makes decisions in place and you fund them and allow them to do these things, but you don't actually do anything, nobody knows your name, and if it all goes tits up, who cares? I think that's the problem. And I think when you have a literal ruling monarchical class, and monarchies might be a little bit of an ancient term, right? But when you have a ruling class that can't run, who we all know who they are, and when it does all go tits up, we can say, hey, it's you guys that make these decisions. Dude, Colin Powell should not be allowed to speak at the DNC. There's Joe Biden want to talk about?
That was racist. Are you trying to silence a man of color?
Joe Biden want to talk about empty seats at the Thanksgiving table this year. I wonder how many empty seats there was for about 20 damn years because of that war Colin Powell helped start.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
He helped lie to us to start it. He helped just say things that weren't true. Dude, there's journalists who swore up and down about those damn WMDs that still write in publications and people take them serious.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I don't know. Sorry, it's just that's.
Yeah, no, actually, I agree with that. It's funny because I had that exact same sentiment. I was reading in CNN today an interesting article.
People can always slink into the shadows, and it's they just go away.
Yeah, didn't you and I? Because I recognized a name when I was reading this article, "How Donald Trump Broke Politics," written by CNN editor-at-large Chris Salisa. And I was like, dude, I remember that name. And I was trying to remember if it was a journalist I trusted or didn't trust.
He's the CNN guy.
Yeah, I remember, but I couldn't remember if we had done if he was the guy that had totally lied about Andrew Yang that one time and it was completely off in multiple articles and was just obviously an anti, or if he was one that was well measured. And so it's kind of funny. I remember thinking that exact same thing, thinking that, okay, I recognize that name. I'm going to make a value judgment based upon that. So, yeah. Anyway, we got a couple of super chats here before I go down the rabbit hole. My Melanated Scope says, random comment, Jets are beating the Pats. Kenneth Booker also says, oh no, Kenneth Booker already said Nina Turner was on. So here, you got to talk about the Jets beating the
Jets
Patriots.
can't be beaten. Oh yeah, they can be. The Pats will pull it out. I'll pull it up. Pats will pull it out.
Okay, Adam Duffy. Thank you for the super chat, Adam Duffy. Good to have you back.
Or one of two things: Pats will pull it out, or the storyline is, does Joe Flacco have Bill Belichick's number?
Wait,
Oh
that
my
guy's
God.
name. Wait, there's a real guy named Flacco out there.
Joe Flacco. Flacco.
Is
Yeah,
it Flacco?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, do you know what that means in Spanish, dog?
Does it mean eagle or bird?
No, it means skinny.
Oh, hey, you know what?
Like literally, they'll come up and be like, "Hey, cómo te va, flaco?"
Yeah.
Which literally means like, "Yo, what's up, skinny? How you doing, bro?"
Okay, give me 1 second.
And if it's Flacco, I think that's the Italian version of skinny.
I believe he actually spells it Eleite, but I think I spelled that wrong anyway. Here he is, Joey Flacco, Super Bowl champion.
Oh my gosh, I am looking this
One
up.
of the elite quarterbacks of all time.
Translation of Flacco in
Anyway,
Italian.
it's not really super relevant.
I'm
Hold
looking
on.
this up.
Couple super chats I want to get to. People asked us a couple times. Actually, multiple. Some more. So you can pull it up. Yeah, but
Okay.
the Jets are gonna blow it. I remember the Cowboys beating the Steelers yesterday. But anyway, I'm not saying the Steelers are the Patriots. They're not. Patriots suck this year, but just the Jets are the Jets. Jets want to lose.
Yeah.
Anyway, Adam Duffy, $5. Haven't done this in a while, but deep breath. Drop a like on the stream or a dislike if you disagree with anything we've said. Thank you. And please do.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Thank you, Adam Duffy.
Natalie Jansen. People are asking, why are you proud of Andrew this week, Carden? Yes. I guess the hour-long cliffhanger can be resolved. Why are you proud of Andrew this week?
Oh, because freaking OG Andrew is back. You know, he doesn't do the Democrat sycophant thing very well. He does leader of the Yang Gang and bipartisan thought leader very well. He doesn't do Nancy Pelosi's biatch well. He does Yang Gang's leader well. And what he said on CNN, I felt a way that I haven't felt in like 4 months with Andrew Yang.
You're talking about his comments referencing
when I was watching his comments on CNN.
about sorry, I'm trying to pull them up, but you're talking about the middle class, the middle class no longer feels represented. I'm going to pull it up right now.
Yeah, pull it up and play it. This is OG Yang. That was just pure
That was
political
it. Give me 1
gold.
second.
And when people like the first of the 12 steps or the 11 steps in Alcoholics Anonymous, it's been like a year since you've been sober, Cody. What's the first step? No, I'm just kidding. But the first step, I believe, is admission, right? And the second step is recognition. So you have to admit a problem and recognize the problem successfully before you have any hope of recovering from an addiction. And America is the most addicted and bad habited, if that's a word, country on the planet right now. And before we can start improving and making solutions, we have to admit our need for them and our problem and recognize that problem. And Andrew Yang articulated very eloquently and powerfully our problem. And it was bipartisan Yang was back, not sycophant Yang.
Okay.
So yeah, you can play it. I like that.
They would flinch, like I'd said something really negative, or I just I'd turn another color or something like that. And there's something deeply wrong when working class Americans have that response to a major party that theoretically is supposed to be fighting for them. So you have to ask yourself, what has the Democratic Party been standing for in their minds? And in their minds, the Democratic Party, unfortunately, has taken on this role of the coastal urban elites who are more concerned about policing various cultural issues than improving their way of life that has been declining for years. And so if you're in that situation, this to me is a fundamental problem for the Democratic Party, because if they don't figure this out, then this polarization and division will get worse, not better.
Is that real or messaging or both?
It's real. I mean, Debbie just said they lost a plant that had 1,500 workers. And so if you're a laid off worker from that plant and you look up and say, what is the Democratic Party doing for me? It's unclear. And we can talk about a unifying message from Joe Biden. He's a naturally very unifying
forgot how
figure.
funny that
But then
part
there's the
was.
reality on the ground where their way of life has been disintegrating for years. And if we don't address that, then you're going to see a continued acceleration toward the institutional mistrust that animated the Trump vote.
The funniest thing about that, Andrew Yang had a couple things that cut deep to some people out there, and they revealed themselves in the quote treats, burning their minds down.
Yeah.
When he said, the policing various cultural issues, and that whatever the plan was for helping these people materially was unclear. People lost their damn minds because he's right about both those things. Seriously, if any of the cultural issues Democrats push don't personally affect you and you're having problems with your life, it's like a confusing message. It's like, what? Yeah, like police brutality is bad, but like I'm going to be homeless because the factory closed and I have no job prospects ever for the rest of my life. Like, what the hell? Like, I kind of have priorities. Like, this is weird. And the Democrats are like, well, shut up. Like Andrew Yang's right. But anyway, for bringing that up, of course, people, I don't even want to pull them up. People melt it down because I want to get some more super chats. But
yeah.
Anything
So
else
anyway, well, that was just the answer to the question. That comment alone right there, in the face of Don Lemon, the most pathetic sycophant for the DNC I've ever seen in my life. That was like when the priests of the Old Testament, I think it was Elijah. Oh, I can't remember the name of the prophet, but went up against the false priests of Baal. You know what I'm saying? That was like when, I'm totally botching my Old Testament right now, but I think it was like Elijah versus Baal. If there's any Christians in the chat, fix this terrible Old Testament analogy. But who is the prophet that called down fire from heaven in order to burn the offering against the priests of Baal? Yeah, that's what it was like. It was like Andrew Yang, the prophet, you know what I'm saying, against the false priest of Don Lemon, of Baal, calling down the truth from heaven.
How about when Don was like, he's like, oh, is that even real? It's like narrative. And
Is that real?
And then that's when Yang's like, well, it's unclear to them what is being done that is helping them. Which is a great way of saying, because part of it's almost like you're not that stupid. Like, you're offering nothing to middle America, flyover Americans you hate. Like, don't pretend you aren't.
Yeah.
These coastal elite Democrats that run the party.
And you're trying to shame them into voting for you.
Every Democrat vote. I'm not saying every candidate with a D next to their name, but I'm saying the the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, yes, they feel this way, okay? Like, not all of them. Actually, ironically enough, the vast majority of Democrats don't feel that way. It's just, unfortunately, they're not Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, and they don't have big bankrolls to pay for these people. But
yeah.
Sorry, I want to get some more super chats.
Oh, by the way, I was right. It was Elijah versus the priests of Baal. You got to read that one. The half Jewish part of you has to read that one. And then the Catholic part of you can just fake it on the test and then say you read it. Okay. And then pass catechism anyway. Because that's what all my buddies did in junior high.
That's what'll happen. A couple more super chats. Sorry, I want to catch up. Kenneth Booker says, how did you guys meet each other? Because you always tell the story. I'll tell it this time.
Oh, yeah. I'm curious.
I used to work at a radio station a little while ago. Card hosted a show at the radio station. I got assigned to be his board operator, so I basically did what I'm doing now, but for the radio station for a show. And that's how I met him. Well, that's basically it. It was Sunday nights, so I had to literally come to the studio at night when no one was there and unlock the door.
Remember the time we got attacked by the homeless guy who tried to break down the window?
Yeah. Hey,
and on air you had to shoo away a guy who was like beating him. That was awesome.
I dealt with it for years, but yeah, no, that's the way that. But
hey, but what? So what? So what if you go into a side story and tell a funny story, Cody? There's nothing wrong with that, bro.
I do it all the time. I just want to get to some super chats right now.
Oh, okay. Hit the super chats.
Emerald Miner, and also there's some interesting questions here I want to get to. That's why I don't want to drag on for 20 minutes, then get into the question I want to ask you. Interesting. Emerald Miner said, "What are your thoughts on Florida and raising the minimum wage to $15 over 6 years?" That's why, really quickly, my take on this, and then I'll give my take and pull up the specifics, and then we'll go to the specifics. Because we live in a capitalist country, Florida's practical minimum wage was going to look really close to $15 in 2026, regardless of law or not. Now, the only difference is the literal minimum wage is higher. Because the thing is, you could have, if it's impossible to feed yourself on $9.50 an hour full time in a city because the cost of living.
Yeah, but that's not the purpose of an entry-level wage.
But still, what I'm saying is job competition might naturally just start pushing wages above that for full-time jobs. For jobs that you actually want someone to work 40 hours, I hear you. There shouldn't be, I don't want to get into a minimum wage discussion.
No.
Specifically, the idea of increasing it over 6 years.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, honestly, in order to describe, it's like UBI. Most people don't get UBI, and it can be pushed aside as, oh, that's socialism. But when you actually get into them, it's capitalism that starts at 1,000 instead of 0. So one of the things that was so great about Andrew Yang was he found a way to gamify and soundbite UBI by saying it's not socialism, but capitalism, where everybody starts at 1,000 instead of at 0. He was able to kind of, at best, boil it down into a pseudo sentence. Okay. The problem with Republicans is raising minimum wage. Yes, it hurts the minorities and the poor people. You know what I'm saying? And everyone that all the Democrats say it's meant to help, it actually hurts them, and it causes more inflation, and it is a bad idea. But optically, it is so good that it is red meat that wolves cannot resist. And so until Republicans find a way to boil down into a soundbite why it is bad, they will always look like the people that want to pay hardworking citizens less money, and that's not a good position to be in. Okay? Yeah. So I get why it gets raised, and to me, a concession on minimum wage, as long as it's been bartered out for as long a period of time as possible so that it kind of just coincides with where the natural wage was going anyway, that's like a best case scenario for a necessary evil in American governance. And until they can have a Mr. Rogers show on how raising the minimum wage actually makes it so there's less youth employment and less entry-level jobs, until they start having a robust education system on why that's bad, that's the best case scenario for Republicans. It's just going along with it, if not suggesting it themselves.
Okay, but Carton, I understand. Sorry, it's just like...
What? You understand what? Why you get all pissed at me?
Well, you cut me off to go into your boilerplate Republican defense of not having a minimum wage increase. I'm just thinking about let's look at the specifics here, okay? One, the minimum wage in Florida currently was $8.56.
Yeah, beautiful.
It will increase to $10 an hour in September 2021. So in roughly a year, it goes up $1.44.
Oh.
And then $1 every other year until $15 an hour in
Yes,
2020. Sir. But two things. One, I think it's a little bit of lip service. I think by 2026, again, like McDonald's would be paying people $15 an hour in 2026 in Florida, regardless of this law or not. I mean, maybe it'd be $13.30 instead of $15 an hour. But do you see that point there? Like, where it's just like, for example, when they raised the minimum wage in Los Angeles, it literally felt like they didn't, because they just kind of it just kind of crept up a little bit generally for a while, because. Like, I mean, like, dude, it's just like, if anybody's willing to pay $9.50, then $8.56 was kind of cheap, you know? And
wait, but why you don't think it felt like? I noticed an immediate effect. You started seeing all of these articles in Fast Company and all of these articles.
Okay, I'm
in
not talking about articles
magazines.
You see.
No,
I'm talking about
listen.
Just like,
let me finish my sentence.
Okay, fine.
It was directly due to the increase in Los Angeles's minimum wage that I saw for the first time articles where companies had made robots that were short order cooks that could do toast, French toast, eggs, and pancakes with like this robot at a griddle.
Sorry,
and it was literally due to the demand of restaurants.
Come on. So what? Like, they were never going to replace laborers with human labor with cheaper machines. It just wasn't going to happen until California raised their minimum wage by like $2. Then all of a sudden it had to happen.
Bro, if you go to the community college in our town, there's a whole pipeline of getting short order cooks certified.
Okay, but the thing is, wages have generally speaking been trending up a little bit, not minimum, because thankfully every business doesn't pay the minimum amount the federal government puts a gun to their head and forces them to.
Yeah.
Businesses like McDonald's actually realize they can outcompete every other entry level job in town by paying $12 an hour, which for McDonald's isn't that crazy, but might be, because what worries me about Florida, I think I went through the numbers of it. The specifics, it looks like by September 30th, 2026, $15. Dude, I have to imagine by 2026, a $15 minimum wage in like urban metro, like Miami-Dade, like, yeah, that probably is about right. The only thing that's interesting to me is like we were talking about like the Panhandle, essentially southern Alabama, and I'm just trying to, some of the more rural counties that generate less revenue and less money, so have people that live there that are a little bit less wealthy.
Yeah.
That's a shock. That's like $15. I don't know if in 2026 rural northeastern or northwestern Florida was gonna just inevitably be there. That's what I think. That could be interesting to keep an eye on. But yeah, like even like Orlando, like what is it? The Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, like all those like big suburban areas. dude, like $15 an hour in 5 years or 6 years, really. I don't know. Like that felt like a creeping inevitability, but I think mandating it statewide, I think that might not be good too. To agree with you there.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Now, somebody in between two super chats brought up a really good point, that the monarch of Liechtenstein has been considered a truly benevolent monarch who enforces the liberty of all of his subjects. Wow, I get to use the word subjects in 2020. And apparently, he's a very benevolent monarch.
You brought up his subjects. How many of them?
I don't know. That's what I was going to ask you. I
Guess.
forgot
How
about
many?
Liechtenstein.
Guess how many?
Oh my gosh, how many people live in Liechtenstein? 250,000?
This is actually one of the funniest thing ever.
What?
250,000. 250,000. That's your final answer.
Yeah.
So 250,000.
Is it less than that? 50,000? How many is it?
According to 2020 estimates, 38,749. Wait, hold on.
Liechtenstein.
Hold on. With a 2013 GDP of $5.3 billion. For 38,000 people. Yeah, it's a...
Dude, I want to live in Liechtenstein.
My only point is,
yeah.
easy to be benevolent when you're a tiny, rich country nobody cares about. It's very easy to treat your people well.
Hey, well, why not?
When you're
Why
a
not?
very wealthy, small nation that's very secure and nobody cares about. It's a lot harder to treat your people
Do they have
well.
a military?
Down anyone. Doesn't mean like
They probably
dude,
got like one Hummer
like
with
back
a 50
in the
cal.
back in the days. Here's something else too. People always, I think it's something people don't realize a lot either, is that like just because you could be unbelievably rich and in debt like up to your ears and like have basically no real money. Like there was a lot of kings. King's gotta be rich, right? And they're just like in debt to like every country because like they got in a long, lengthy war and they had to hire a bunch of mercenaries and they had to like their timber industry got wrecked because it was all with the boats that got sunk and just like like a lot of them like it wasn't always awesome. I think people feel like they have like this because of what we're a product of. Not only English speakers but Americans in particular.
Yeah.
We always will look at the monarchists. I mean, we birthed from expelling our monarch. That's why America exists. We were part of a empire under a monarch, and we said no. Actually, it almost reminds me. I brought this up before. One of my favorite lines from Vince McMahon, where he says, "In order to beat a billionaire, I had to become a billionaire." Well, you know, America was part of an empire under a monarch. It didn't overthrow, but it broke away from its monarch and then became an empire without a monarch. Very cool story. Unfortunately, it seems like the empire without the monarch really sucks for everyone. More so than we thought. Now, we walked back the empire bit, but now we're like this weird pseudo-empire where, like, we don't own Philippines anymore, but I'm pretty sure we have military bases, like, every couple hundred miles in every direction.
Closed. Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, all around, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of countries.
Well, and with the drones we have flying in the sky,
Yeah.
I don't think there's like literally 100-mile radius of the Pacific Ocean that's not within like 20 minutes of a drone strike.
No, exactly. It's like they don't like literally... Like they're not like they don't like have American flags on these countries anymore, but like they're not like
So we got some more super chats here
they're
I'm
like
going to
just
address.
part of the country. Okay.
Phil H, thank you very much for the super chat, brother. Says, what do you think of a Rand Paul / Tulsi Gabbard ticket? I'd actually be very surprisingly down. I really dig Rand Paul. Every once in a while, he goes a little bit crazy and purist on me. But that's also the reason why I like him and respect him. He's more on the edge, but he is a deficit hawk. He's extremely intelligent, and I was a huge fan of his dad. And the apple, fortunately, did not fall very far from the tree. And I also respect so much more a doctor who is a citizen politician than a poli-sci graduate who got his Juris Doctorate before he interned for the congressman and then became one himself. So I would actually be very enthusiastic about a Rand Paul / Tulsi Gabbard ticket. And also Tulsi Gabbard, she's one of the few that I trust on the left to be a rational person. I think Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard are the only Democrats that I would not fear in office because I believe their motivations are pure. And if their motivations are pure, then they can be reasoned with. And that's why I was a fan of Tulsi Gabbard on the left. So anyway, Phil H hopefully answered your question there. And Adam Duffy, by the way, I asked Adam Duffy if he's Mormon. he was like, yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? That's why his basketball team was called, his church basketball team was called the Warrior Priests, which I think is pretty sick. So, Cody, if you can go back to be an authoritarian constitutional monarch, then I will be in charge of the warrior priests that depose you.
Again, though,
if the people are pissed.
Keep in mind. I'm not in a like. See, I feel like maybe I have no problem being wrong on this, but my opinion of this, what you're saying is kind of the very specifically the Anglo-American version of what a monarch is, right?
Yeah.
Because what did you just say again?
A constitutional monarch?
No. You said it was authoritarian.
Authoritarian constitutional
I don't
monarch.
believe in a monarch because I believe in authoritarianism. I believe in the monarchs. I believe in the opposite. I think authoritarianism is able to exist when nobody's actually really in charge. Authoritarianism thrives when there's just bureaus and there's these elected officials, but they kind of come and go, and seemingly these people kind of come and go, but everything stays the same.
And the deep state's really in charge.
Unelected officials you don't even know about. They're just like appointed basically like a king would. We don't hear about them. We elect the king.
So you're talking about the rule of nobody by our boy.
Largely, yeah. Like when you have a literal ruling class, one of the downsides is that everyone knows they're the ruling class. There's people that rule over us we don't know. We don't know their faces. They just tunnel their money into suppressing us. That's all they have to do.
Yeah.
They move their money around. It gets moved around to somebody else. They move it around to someone else. It goes into a nonprofit. Nonprofit hires people. The people they hire volunteer for them later. I mean, it's just like it's a huge machine. I would much rather live under a king and a queen and their stupid, princes and princesses. Sorry.
Yeah.
Then just this faceless mass, it's like this ever-changing formless shape that just like squashes everything beneath it.
Well, that's what Philip K. Howard said in The Rule of Nobody, that like in third world countries, at least there's some dictator that says, go fix that pothole. I just drove over a pothole. Go freaking fix it.
And if it doesn't get fixed, you could show up to the dictator's house and say, fix the damn hole. And guess what? You know he's the one that can or can't.
Yeah, totally. So, to a certain extent, I agree with you in there. But look, let's just face it. Jesus is going to come by 2033, maybe as late as 2035. Yeah. So we're all going to be living in a theocracy ruled by God. So just enjoy your dreams of a constitutional monarchy. But it's going to be Jesus, baby. It's going to be Jesus. So anyway, Adam Duffy, my boy Adam Duffy. See, we got this brotherhood going now. Adam, did you serve a mission? You got to write in the chat where you served if you did. If you didn't, that's cool too, though. But anyway, Adam Duffy, Yang's coming to Georgia, and I'm super excited to see him in person. Rock on. Well, hopefully he's just as excited to see you. It says, I'm going to wear my busted up math hat around my neck. That is a busted up hat if you're wearing it around your neck. Like, are you going like it's like a Flava Flav clock where you just got hanging around a chain, or like what are you doing there, Adam? Hit us up. And then another super chat from Kenneth Booker says, I was hoping you meant in a fight club. Damn it. LOL. What was he hoping? Oh, I was hoping you met in a fight club. Well, the first rule is we don't talk about it, dog.
Yeah. That's really what happened.
Who would win in a fight between you and me, Cody? I'm afraid you'd punch me in the nuts.
Nah, you're like, dude, like.
No, but little guys, they don't get it. They got this like uppercut in vulnerable spots.
Is that how like UFC and boxing works? Like these little guys just beat these huge guys up all the time? Yeah. Like, hey, like these big guys don't get it. Or generally speaking, do they physically separate the little guys and the big guys and not let them fight each other?
Actually, I don't know. I got to tell you, Mike Tyson's actually really small. But how do you think Mike Tyson would fare against a heavyweight?
Hold on. He's not tall, but
his uppercut, bro.
It's not all about height. Like Mike Tyson, like probably weighs 3 times more than I did when he was in his fighting shape. Like maybe not. He was in 370 pounds. But you know my point. Like I think he's like 5'9" or whatever. He's not that tall, but he would have been like twice as wide as me and all muscle and like another 100 pounds of it. Like,
yeah, did you see that
size? Hold on, let's get to the last.
Well, did you see that fight? We'll get to it, but did you see the fight with the really tall guy that he lost to, the exhibition match? It was, I think, a Jamaican guy or
no, but if it was an exhibition novelty match with some super tall guy and a super short guy,
it was supposedly his comeback, and that some people thought he might win, but then he ended up losing to this tall guy who just kept on giving him this left jab that he couldn't reach to, and so that's actually a strong argument since he had such a long. I was actually recruited by a boxer once. Did I ever tell you that? I'll have to tell you that someday. Anyway,
Really? You know what? You are built like a heavyweight, dude.
like no, the guy saw
You
I
are
had a
literally
7'2"
built
arm
like a
span, and he said,
heavyweight.
"I will train you." And he was a Golden Glove winner in the 70s. This guy was the Golden Glove champ of like 50 and over.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, "Dude, if you want to get in boxing," and actually, I started taking boxing classes from him, but then I moved, and so like the whole like breathe out while you're like punching and everything. We did that, and we started measuring the how hard I could hit, and he actually said that I would make a good boxer because strangely I'm left eye dominant. And so because I'm left eye dominant, I'm not afraid to punch with the left hand. And that's very dangerous for guys that have long arms because you get used to knowing which side a guy prefers hitting from as a boxer. And he said if you could master a left-handed jab and a left-handed hook, that you'd be a pretty formidable boxer. And so actually I got into it. But then I moved.
I
So,
believe it, dude.
bummer.
I would not. I don't care how tall I was. I would not have to stand a few feet away from you and trade punches to the face for 50 minutes. I would just not want to do that.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, but I mean, like I envision you as like one of these like just big ass heavyweights. You go up to like 340, 350, and just slug away at people. I mean, you're not gonna be fighting people like that are that much shorter than like 6'2" at that point. Just like weight reasons, like people that
Yeah.
are like 6 foot, they're not gonna be 300 pounds or whatever. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's like I
And I'm
try
like-
and lose weight and I never get below 250.
Okay, but hold on.
Yeah.
Which
Which is like,
we
yeah.
can talk hypothetical fighting for forever. Fight
Yeah.
Club. Hyperballistic Drifter God, thank you. He said, read Hop's Democracy, the God That Failed. Definitely going to read that. It sounds actually, I just pulled it up and I looked. Dude, put .pdf at the name of anything. I found the whole book on the internet. So I'm going to put that on my ebook reader. I'm going to read that. Just because they very kindly give these things away for free and I didn't do anything illegal. So I appreciate that very much.
Okay, dude, I
Um,
want to see this. The God that failed.
Adam Duffy said, I strapped it to a rocket on the 4th of July. It's now a centerpiece of my podcast set and looks sick. And I think I bounced it before. But yeah, I saw. Hold on a second. I'll put this up because 1 second. I thought there we go. You could see it on this. Here. You asked
dude, I
you asked
gotta
about the
read this
hat
up.
card, and here's the hat you asked about with the circle on it.
Oh, I want to see.
Remember? I knew I couldn't remember the name. Ah, crap. I have to go to the time mark. 11:10. That was the good picture of it I found. But do you remember when I showed you the video and I was telling you about the YouTube drama where the YouTuber went to that guy's house and tried to shoot him?
Oh my gosh, what, really?
Yeah, Boogie, and he was trying to shoot him. Anyway,
Oh, that guy's huge.
that's the hat right there in the bottom right. Anyway, I remember you showed it. I thought it was... Dude, I saw it come across somewhere. You interviewed Frank Hassel. I'm like, that's hilarious. I think I brought it up before, so shout out for that. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because I remember I was going through. I think I might have even showed up because I subscribed to you. I was on my my homepage, and I was like, oh, Frank Hassel being interviewed. I'm like, oh, what the... I followed that Frank Hassel stuff like the day it happened, like crazy. Anyway, that's a tangent.
So anyway,
And then...
Prodi.
Yes.
Oh, hey, Prodi's back. Remember how the name was? It was Pradyumna, but she said she goes by Prodi. Prodi's back, and she says, should we start a UBI party? Neither major party is looking like they will put UBI on their platform anytime soon. Yeah, I got to tell you, I thought there was a little potential for a birth of a UBI movement with Andrew Yang there, and I still own the URL Republican UBI. And I thought that would be a good way of starting the conversation with other Republicans about UBI, because it's still in the modern nomenclature perceived as a Democrat idea, when in reality, as we all know, was written by Milton Friedman and passed by Richard Nixon and so on and so forth in the 60s and 70s.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you.
So Prodi,
second.
I'd start that
1
with you.
second.
I'd do it. Yeah, what?
They follow up. Thank you for the second super chat saying that I'm a guy, Carden. That's what I mean.
Oh, crap, dude. I thought Prodi was a chick.
You did think that. I guess
Dude, I screwed that up.
It's 50-50.
Am I thinking of a different Prodi? I'm sorry.
I think, you know what? Anyways, I appreciate both. Thank you very much. But but to the idea.
Hey, I never knew
Back
that
to the question.
misgendering us
Yeah.
got more super chats.
Well, hold
So
on.
from here on out, it'll be like,
Back
yo,
to
Sly
the-
Cactus is a transgender. You know what I'm saying?
Whatever. Anyway, though, because back to the question.
Now give me super
it's an
chat.
interesting question. I do want to talk about the question a bit, right, Carden? Is one, like, yes and no. I think a UBI party will fail no matter what. Even in a like maybe in a parliamentary setting where you have these kind of more tempered parties and you need a party that's like in some parliamentary settings you'll notice they'll have very focused parties. You'll have like the vegan party in a way, or maybe not vegan, like those political parties that are like hyper focused. In America, starting a third party with UBI being a big part of it, I do think is an awesome thing. So I kind of
Wait,
agree
you don't
with your
think
idea.
a straight UBI party could start?
Not in a political system environment like ours. No, in an environment where we have a parliament and it's kind of like a thing we know that there's like 14 parties and like you only need one party to get like 7% of the vote to have like a solid say in power. Like yes, but a third party. Here's the thing, as you mentioned that neither is going to have UBI. Just having UBI as a major pillar of a third party is all you really would need to do, because neither party's really like the Democrats and the Republicans aren't going to outflank them on this. All they have to do is say we're a third party that represents everything you want a third party to represent, and then just have UBI as a pillar, and you'd still be outflanking them all on it. I just think that in America, dude, with the way our political system works, being too focused on one subject will be looked as a novelty niche party. Again, in European parliaments, and I'm sure in some other, I just don't know as much about politics when you get to like
Well,
Asia
we're
and
supposed
Africa,
to have
but
a European parliamentary system with multiple parties.
But in those systems, it does make a lot more sense to have these parties that are just like there's like literal like animal cruelty parties, I believe, in some countries in Europe. Just because like there's such a diverse amount of parties, you could just be that focused.
There's literal animal cruelty parties?
I believe so, yes. Or maybe just animal rights, maybe a little bit less focused. Like it's like PETA
Oh, you mean
could have,
anti-animal cruelty
yeah, not
parties?
pro-anti-cruelty.
Okay, I was about to say, I was like,
They don't support
man,
anti-cruelty.
that sounds
no.
like something that came out of
But
Poland, man. I'll be honest
I
with you.
just mean political parties that are very narrow in their focus. Just because there's other parties and you're building coalitions, like they will serve as the animal rights wing of a coalition that builds, as opposed to what we have in America, where we're America. Right? We want one party to just like beat the other party into submission and reign supreme and dominate them through executive fiat. That's what we want in America. We don't want coalition building between various different smaller parties with unique focus. Anyway, Kenneth Booker says that Tyson was 218 and KO'd a guy who was 6'10", 270.
See, he wasn't that big. He was only 218.
But dude, that doesn't mean like it did not.
6'10", 270. That's actually a super lean guy too, bro.
Nah,
I've gotten up to
that's
270 as a
LeBron
6'5".
James. That's basically LeBron James.
Really? LeBron 6'10"?
And he's 6'9", 260.
Holy crap!
So a little bit bigger than LeBron. Like basically LeBron. No.
Oh wow. Wow. We got to get that montage back.
Wow.
So, is there anything else you want to talk about before we break it off, man? If any of you guys have any more super chats, get them out of your system right now, because we're gonna be we're already over, dude. But what's it called? We're gonna be wrapping up here in a minute.
Any last things? Just, dude, I'm ready for the election to end.
I'm ready for freaking Rona to end, bro.
Do you want to watch? You know what though? Now that Biden might be the president, and again, like if I had to bet today, I'd say Biden. It's just not official, so we'll wait till it's official.
No.
But anyway, and unfortunately for all of us, like I feel like it'll just never be official. They'll drag it on forever. But assuming Biden is a new president, that means we get to laugh at the new president all the time. And this is from May of this year, and this isn't like I'm not hating on Biden. Like, oh, let's pile on Biden. It just in an election, things get forgotten. If this is our incoming president, we get to make fun of this guy now for the next 4 years, every single day, because he's the president. That's kind of what comes to being president. Listen to this. This is a great Bidenism right here, man. Check this one out.
On drugs was one that Pat Moynihan, and he's a great guy. You remember the crack epidemic came from the Bahamas, and we were told by medical doctors at the time that because it permeated the membrane of the brain more quickly, it was the crack you never come back. It was somehow fundamentally different than someone in a beautiful neighborhood like this sniffing a line of cocaine would get not automatic sentence for.
This is one of my favorite. I can't wait. This is a great line right here. I'm like I said, dude. I'm glad
he literally just assumed that blacks only live in ugly neighborhoods.
Well, he always does that. But listen to this, dude. This sounds like if you wrote this down, this sounds like something Trump would say. Listen.
Somehow fundamentally different than someone in a beautiful neighborhood like this sniffing a line of cocaine.
Sniffing lines of cocaine in beautiful neighborhoods. You can't charge them. They're in beautiful neighborhoods sniffing these lines of cocaine. Like
he's well versed in how to consume all of these drugs too.
We get years of this. So but whatever. Like who cares? I just now that this is what we're coming through, we get to just
okay. So here's the last thing
be
before
real about it. And that dude, 4 years of Biden doing stuff like this is gonna crack me up, man. I read that written down. The only reason why I even brought this up is from May of this year, right?
Yeah.
I read that written down somewhere in like a tweet or something, and I'm like, there's no way Biden said that people sniffing cocaine in beautiful neighborhoods, whatever. And there was the actual one. It cracked me up. Just damn.
Hey,
man,
we got one last super chat,
Adam
bro.
Duffy, $10,
Hit it.
says, sorry to shamelessly plug. We just put out our election episode today, and y'all should check it out. I brought up the idea that the election is a nightmare scenario for Dems. Hey, appreciate it.
So
very
really,
much. Check
really
'em out.
fast, just type in why you think it is a nightmare scenario for Dems.
I'll tell you why I thought it was when I did my
Okay,
video.
hit it.
Well, because Biden will, assuming Biden wins, going off the assumption Biden wins, they're losing House seats like a lot. They don't have House control. The Senate's still in the Republican hands. Even if they win both of these runoffs,
Yeah.
they're going to have like a 51-50 majority. And dude, moderate Dem senators that, I don't know, maybe have an election in 2022 aren't going to want to jump into reshaping. So the Dems aren't going to look to have some mass Senate majority. Republicans still have that Supreme Court majority.
Yeah.
And again, like adding 20 Supreme Court justices before the midterm is going to be a pipe dream no matter what, especially if it's a 51-50 majority, or even if it's like that close or 50-50 even, or the point where it's like all it takes is 2 moderate Democrats to be like, honestly, this is too far. My constituents won't like this.
Yeah.
2
Especially
moderate
on, like,
Democrats
gun control.
out of, I don't know, like Georgia or like
Yeah.
it's like, dude, like AOC South probably is not going to win as the senator of Georgia. It's probably going to be something more moderate no matter what. So that factor in with the fact that the reason things are like that is because voters chose that. Dude, I'll pull it up by one of my favorite little maps here that a lot of people don't see as much. This is a map of
Hit it.
This is a map of partisan legislative control of states in America.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to look at these states that Biden, quote-unquote, flipped or took back. The blue wall. The blue wall is entirely legislative red.
Yeah.
Entirely.
Except for New Hampshire. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, the Michigan, Ohio, I guess Illinois, sorry. Illinois is it. Look, Wisconsin voted for Biden. Legislatively controlled by Republicans. Reaffirmed in 2020. Michigan. Won by why can't I think of his name? I'm having a Biden moment here in 2020. Controlled by Republicans, reaffirmed in 2020.
Yeah.
Ohio won. Pennsylvania. Georgia. That's a big one. People say Georgia flipped blue. Well, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
They might end up having Republican senators and entire Republican legislative control and like retired Republican AG and basically Republican everything. Like, I know in the presidential election season, people bring like, well, the state voted for so-and-so. It's like, yeah, but like when it comes to who the people in that state vote for on their local levels, it's Republican. Illinois is the only difference. And this isn't like Senate. This isn't the kind of thing where it's like, well, it takes a while. Dude, like it's like Assembly and like state Senate and like state House. A lot of these things are up for grabs pretty frequently. I mean, they have varying years of eligibility. But for example, you're talking about here where we live in California, our state assembly, you term out after 6 years? What is it, Card? Like,
Yeah.
you can only be an assembly person for like a few years. Like, these seats rotate. And they're being reaffirmed in the areas Democrats claim to be winning and making gains. They thought they did with Biden. Down ticket, they didn't. And that's bad for them. Because that means heading into 2022, we already saw, you missed this, they had a big, they call it like a family conference call. But it was like mostly House Democrats had a big call to kind of talk like after the election, right?
Yeah.
And moderate House Democrats are saying, defund the police and Medicare for all and the more left policies almost cost me my seat. We can't ever talk about this stuff. Nancy Pelosi, as well as other leading Dems like Jim Clyburn, have gone on and said, we can't talk Medicare for all. We can't talk defund the police. We can't talk climate change. If we want to win these Georgia seats, we have to be talking more moderate.
Yeah.
So you have the Democrats already... They haven't even, Biden is not even officially the president-elect yet, and Democrats are already being forced to be more moderate to hold on to their slim majorities.
Yeah.
And they're like, they have a slim majority in the House and a deficit in the Senate. No, this was a couple House seats away from a near Pyrrhic victory for the Dems, where it's like, they just don't win again after this.
Yeah.
I mean, holding on to because dude, even having like a 2 or 3 House seat majority, suddenly you can. This is a term one of our politician friends use. You can't like lifeboat these people anymore. If you
Yeah.
have a 3-person majority in the House, every single one of you is voting on record yes. You don't get present votes. You
Yeah.
don't get switching sides votes when we have 3. When the Democrats have a 15 or a 16 seat majority in the House, 4 of you guys can vote for whatever you want. 5 of you guys could just not vote. Who cares? You can vote present. That all goes away.
Yeah.
So sorry. Yes, that was that's the reason why I feel like it's Biden winning. Sure, could be good, and don't get me wrong, having a Democrat in the White House gives you a lot of influence and power the Democrats want. But
I hear you.
having a House with a bunch of skittish members that saw, I mean, especially it's it's almost like in the movie, like in like a war movie when someone like sees everyone around them start falling and they're like, oh geez, like am I next? Like these Democrats, these more, especially what you saw a big trend of happen in the House this year. A lot of seats that were red that went blue in the 2018 midterm went back red again.
Yeah.
And again, that says that Democrats' messaging failed. I guess the way to wrap it up, the reason why I think it's bad for Democrats is the voters seem to show that the only message that they took in was that Trump was bad. But every other Democrat down ballot lost because if Trump wasn't on the other side. Not everyone down ballot, but the down ballot portions, state houses, like governorships, all this stuff, you didn't see big pushes for Democrats because Democrats weren't popular. People just knew to vote against Trump and didn't know anything else. That's why I think it long term could end up being just the worst scenario for Dems, where you have the same idiots screwing things up in the House and the Senate, but you blame their Democratic president now instead of their Republican president.
Yeah.
That's the nightmare scenario. And then the Supreme Court's not even helping you out because that's Republican too.
Yeah.
And the moderates, the margins are so slim, those moderates are all of a sudden real fucking real moderate because the margins are like, I have to not lose my seat. So I don't know.
So we got one last super chat here from Hyperballistic Drifter God. Says if Trump can't get the legislators to send electors for him, he doesn't deserve to win. I think he's referencing the fact that everything's going into the court, and if people don't support him in all of these court endeavors,
It's like the final line.
then he's toast. That's the final line. So anyway, to a certain extent, he is correct. Hyperballistic Drifter God. Actually, I'm going to give a shout out here. Thank you very much to everybody that super chatted. That was the second super chat. Thanks for the return super chat, brother. Kenneth Booker, Adam Duffy, Hyperballistic Drifter God, Phil H, Emerald Miner, Natalie Jensen, My Melanated Scope, and Prati Agaram, who is a dude. Thank you very much for your super chats today. Keeps us going, keeps us alive. Thank you very much for your contribution. I don't have anything left to say. Cody, you got anything left to say?
So we will live sans super chats, but we do appreciate that.
Yes. Sans. I'm going to start saying sans super chats.
Yeah.
So that's it, bro.
Hey, how about avec? You ever heard of that word?
Kvetch?
Avec, not kvetch.
Avec. No, I haven't.
It's French for with.
With. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Like anyway, I'm just joking around. Is there anything
I was just going to wrap it up and say it's been real. It's been fun.
But you asked if there's anything else. I'm trying to think if there was. Nope, I showed it. I just wanted to. Hey, if Biden's president, I'm gonna have fun making fun of this guy because, dude, he's just like.
Yeah. So
These beautiful neighborhoods, people snort these cocaine lines in. Of course, they shouldn't go to jail.
yeah. So it's been real with our math hats. It's been fun with our unsavory agents shirts. And it's been real fun. This is Problem Solver Politics. We'll see you guys in the next video.